Last night, we reported from Mexico on the increasingly global migration making its way through that country to the U.S. southern border. And tonight, Amna Nawaz continues that journey, starting in Green Valley, Arizona.
How often do you do this drive?
I do this at least once a week.
Okay.
It's about an hour-and-a-half drive from Pastor Randy Mayer's church to the rugged border between Arizona and Mexico in the Sonoran Desert.
It's a time-honored tradition of giving help to the stranger.
Mayer is the founder of Green Valley Samaritans, and for nearly a quarter century, he's been providing aid to migrants.
A year ago, we were running into groups out in the desert, but it was 8, 10, 15 people a day. Now we're out there some days and we're running into 300, 400.
300 or 400 people a day.
Yeah.
But it's not just more people, it's where they're coming from.
Hey, you guys need anything?
Bangladesh. Ab Hindi bolte hain?
Within minutes of reaching the border wall, Pastor Randy is out of the truck
Border Patrol will come.
and handing out granola bars and water to a group of men from Bangladesh.
इधर आने के लिए कितने दिन हैं?
They tell me they've been traveling for 3 months and just arrived at this makeshift border camp. Before long, more arrivals. They're from Guatemala, finding the Samaritans after walking for 5 hours. The group, including a 5-year-old, had been traveling for a month. A 5-minute drive further down the border road, another large group that recently crossed, including this father and his children from Senegal.
Where?
6 months ago, we had never seen somebody from Bangladesh or Africa in this part of the desert. It was all Mexicans and Central Americans, and sometimes it would be a few people from South America, but now this is pretty regular. Bienvenidos. Tenemos mucha comida y agua.
I notice one of the first things you say is welcome.
Yeah, we want to make sure that at least their first encounter is one of great welcome and saying, we are glad you are here.
Among the group are 3 sisters, 13-year-old Nicole, 14-year-old Genesis, and 8-year-old Valeria. They're traveling alone from Chiapas, the southernmost state in Mexico.
Did you see any other kids traveling alone along the way?
No, most just had their families, or their parents, or their aunts and uncles, or even close cousins. Everybody had somebody.
And you had each other?
Yes, just us 3.
The sisters are heading to reunite with their mother, their sole provider, who came to the U.S. 7.5 years ago to support the family. Over the phone, she shares her relief that her daughters made it safely across the border.
I was desperate, and I was so scared because I didn't know what was going on.
The girls, like everyone here, are now just waiting to turn themselves into Border Patrol. Virtually all will seek asylum in the U.S., a legal protection that takes years to formally determine. But for now, with a snack, water, and reassurance from Pastor Randy that transport would eventually come, spirits seem high. But in this remote stretch of the Sonoran Desert, the journey can quickly turn dire.
Just tell her to relax.
So it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I just met this group of folks who just crossed over earlier this morning. They said in the middle of the night. 2 are from Mali, 1 is from Mauritania, 1 is from Guinea. 2 of them are very, very sick. They said that they've been waiting for Border Patrol to arrive for hours, and it looks like they have now arrived. So they'll start to get some medical help and see what happens next.
An hour passes. The group is taken by ambulance to a hospital more than 90 minutes away. It's these moments that show why this border is the deadliest land migration route in the world. In Arizona's Pima County, more than 3,000 migrants have died in the last 30 years.
This shouldn't be so deadly. ¿Quiere una manzana? By our people being out here, we literally are saving lives day in and day out.
Along the same span of rugged terrain, Stephen Cristinzio with U.S. Customs and Border Protection echoes that sentiment.
When the organizations are pushing family groups across in the middle of nowhere, that's been a big challenge.
When you say the organizations, you mean the cartels?
The cartels. The cartels control everything here.
Cristinzio helps lead Border Patrol's Tucson sector, which covers 262 border miles in Arizona.
Tucson sector is the most inhospitable terrain on the southwest border.
I mean, how does that impact your resources? You've got larger groups, more people coming across in more remote crossings. What does that mean for your team?
It makes it incredibly difficult for us to respond in a quick manner. For us, the number one thing with the Give Up groups is safety and preservation of life. We triage things in that manner.
Driving that border with Agent Crestinzio, we quickly get a sense of what his team is managing.
Buenos dias.
This group of 17 migrants, all Mexicans, crossed the border just moments earlier through a broken section of the border fence.
¿Cómo está, señor?
The pace of what Border Patrol calls give-ups, or people turning themselves in, is relentless. Apprehensions in this part of Arizona were up 30% in March compared to a year ago, and just down from record levels a few months ago.
Probably can't get them all in, right?
The group is loaded onto a van to be taken to a nearby facility in Nogales, Arizona.
They'll get a medical screening, basic biographical information will get taken. That'll happen first. Yeah, they're coming across right there.
Before Crestinzio can finish his thought, he sees another group approaching.
Do you have space, staff, resources to support all of them?
Yeah, we might. I don't know when we can get the next van. It might be a little bit before he comes back, and then. Buenos dias, ¿cómo están? Ven por acá, por favor.
Over the course of an hour, we document at least 70 people, minors, families, children as young as 6 months, crossing the border to turn themselves in at this one remote spot.
¿Cuántos años tienes? 12?
But it's not just asylum seekers. Agent Crestinzio says a masked man on the border fence is likely a scout for a cartel.
He'll watch us if it's people or drugs, whatever that guy is looking to push across. He's just trying to tie up our resources, get us out of the area.
In fact, moments earlier, agents on ATVs marched 2 men out of the brush who'd been evading Border Patrol. It's a sight that fifth-generation rancher Jim Chilton says he's increasingly seeing at his ranch, which spans 50,000 acres, including 5.5 miles along the Mexico border.
Through the Obama and Trump administration, averaged about 230 people coming through the ranch. In the last 3 years, it's been about 1,200 people.
Chilton tracks this illicit traffic using motion-activated cameras on his property.
What do you think should be done to stop those guys from cutting through your ranch?
President Biden made a huge mistake stopping the wall. A wall is a very helpful tool. It would require the Border Patrol being at the wall, and anybody tried to cut it or crawl over it or under it, they apprehended them and kick them back into Mexico.
He says he supports more legal immigration pathways, but the current flow of people claiming asylum between ports of entry is untenable.
I feel for the undocumented immigrants. They're just trying to get into the country, but we can't accept everybody that has an issue.
A lot of folks on the outside looking in say there's a siege going on, there's an invasion going on at the border. Is that how you see it?
When you have 8 to 10 million people coming into the United States, one could almost say it's an invasion.
But opinions on this frontier differ. Chilton's neighbor just down the road doesn't see it exactly the same way. Cattle rancher Lori Lindsay's property also runs along the Mexico border.
It's super peaceful, it's beautiful. I've lived in 9 states, this is my favorite place.
And this comes with the view of the border wall.
It does.
Right here.
Oh, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
Lindsay says she's never felt threatened here, and she doesn't put much stock in the immigration debate among people thousands of miles away.
If you're not familiar with the border, it sounds very scary. It sounds like we're being invaded. Criminals are coming in to get us, and it's just not true. I mean, not that there isn't a problem. There is a problem with the cartels. We need to deal with those. But there are 2 separate issues going on. You've got that, and then you've got a mother who's come 7 countries away with her young children. I think, how desperate are you? Because I wouldn't want to do that with my kids.
Ayúdame, por favor.
Back at the border, Division Chief Stephen Crestinzio and Border Patrol agents are on the front lines of disentangling these 2 issues and managing a humanitarian mission that many Border Patrol agents didn't necessarily sign up for.
Do you worry after seeing hundreds of people a day, thousands of people every week, that there's compassion fatigue, burnout?
I don't think so. It's hard to look at a group like this and see all these little kids. These kids didn't ask to be here. And you can put yourself in that situation, imagining having to make those sacrifices, make those decisions to travel hundreds or thousands of miles with, you know, that little girl right there. She's probably 9 months old,
Maybe a year.
Maybe a year. And so, no, I don't worry about compassion fatigue. I don't.
Pastor Randy and the Green Valley Samaritan Volunteers say they're frustrated by elected officials' failure to act.
For over 30 years, our politicians, both the Republican and the Democrats, have not chosen to do anything but throw money at security. And it hasn't changed a single thing. In fact, it's probably brought more people here.
As the sun starts to set, dozens of migrants wait for Border Patrol to arrive, including Sisters Genesis, Nicole, and Valeria, eagerly anticipating seeing their mother for the first time in more than 7 years.
I'm very excited to see her. It's been so long since I've seen her.
But after we leave, that excitement turned to worry. In a moment of confusion, as night fell over the desert, the girls are left behind by a Border Patrol van. Their mother alerted NewsHour. We alerted Border Patrol, who carried out an overnight rescue of the girls. Last week, the sisters reunited with their mother. 3 more survivors of a dangerous journey who've reached their next safe space, whatever the path ahead.